Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to your Side Quest Contact, episode 24 of Let's Make an Adventure. Now, to this point, we have worked through Act 1, we have set up Act 2, Act 3, and now we're moving into kind of our final showdown. And technically, depending on how you structure your stories, you can have the final showdown as part of Act 3, but I've always included it as something separate because it's like the final scenario. In the final battle, the climactic scenario, it's going to have some fighting in it, but we don't want to just reduce the monster's hit points to zero. That's not the goal. Um, and we're going to come up with ways to make this final scenario a little more engaging, not just roll initiative, roll to hit, take damage, take its treasure. So let's review where we kind of started. Now I'm going to go back to our original notes that I had down here. Okay. Yeah, here's the notes from our antagonist. So I'm just going to copy these over to final scenario. Let's work through this. Okay. So this is a hobgoblin, right? A haunted one, and because the haunted one, remember this is when we talked about this in the very beginning, we were kind of laying out our foundation, that this were tiger has witnessed something terrible, and that terrible thing was other lycanthropes slaughtering the were tiger, who changed our main character here, our main antagonist. So he was part of Goblin raids, captured and turned and raised and trained by the were tiger, taught how to be the were tiger, control its change, to be in charge of itself. And then we have other lycanthropes moving in, slaughtering everyone. Our main antagonist was unable to help and now is alone. And that's why he or she's doing what they're doing. So, when we get to the final scenario, let's list our potential foes and our potential allies. So for foes, we got the Were Tiger. We have Selena and her flying sword if she's still alive. And yeah, the rest, all of this list here is if they're still alive. We would have Rolencio, our paladin, and his lover, Alomia. I think that's it. Now for allies, and all this depends on how the players handled their previous scenarios with those other contacts. Did they impress the contact to the point where that contact is willing to help, or did they anger or upset the contact to the point where the contact says, "No, you go deal with this. I'm not helping you." So we could have Frangruza, our bugbear ranger. We could have Kimchek, our Hadoze warlock. Grumpo, our gift sorcerer. And depending on how they handle Grumpo's scenario, because we have the furbolgs that are involved with that. Let me go back and what was her name? Guyleen. There she is, Guyleen. And with Guyleen comes the dragon. I think it was the Wormling dragon. So we have about an even split here between foes and allies. And some of our foes may no longer be living by the time our players get here, and our players are going to be third level by the time they get here. So I want to take a look at, I want to get a feel for the difficulty level. All right, let's go manage our characters. By now we have probably four third level characters. Okay, so the Were Tiger by itself is a hard encounter for four third level characters. But once we start putting on their flying sword, now we're past deadly. Now we're up to deadly. But that's going to be balanced out by our potential allies. So we have potential still living foes and potential allies depending on how the players handled all of the previous stuff. So in the beginning, I do imagine this to be a traditional fight, right? By now, the Were Tiger is sick of the players' shenanigans, sick of them interfering with what it's trying to do, excuse me, and is willing to take lethal steps to resolve that issue. Hopefully, it still has its allies with it, but if these allies are no longer around, then yeah, we still have a hard encounter. So, what is going to be the twist, the complication, the what the hell is happening moment? Well, I think that since we talked about in the beginning how the motive behind our main antagonist's actions is um, you know is kind of sympathetic, right? I mean, we he she they lost their family, or the family they knew in the form of the other Were Tiger, couldn't do anything about it. Other Were Tigers being slaughtered, so that's why it's doing what it's doing now. So I'm thinking maybe by the time, let's say, how many hit points does this have? Let's go take a look. All right, so we got 120 hit points on this thing. It's going to last a bit. It's got a lot of cool things it can do. Likely not going to be able to sneak up on it unless you're totally invisible. It's going to hit you lots of times. And I think for the meantime, it's going to refrain from claw. Does the claw attacks give you the change? No, it's just the bite attack. Okay. So yeah, so it can use its claws without wanting to change people. Because remember, Were Tigers, they don't want to change people. They're not like other lycanthropes that like want to spread the curse as much as they can. Because tigers are lone, solitary hunters. Yeah, they raise their cubs and such, but they don't want to be around a lot of things, other tigers and such. All right, so let's say at half hit points, 60 hit points. That's our trigger. Were a tiger, half HP. Come on. So that's 60. That's when this moment happens. And this moment is going to be the other lycanthropes, the ones that caused our main antagonist issues to begin with, has motivated the antagonist to do all the stuff it's been doing. We're going to have these other lycanthropes show up. So let's look at those. I'm going to go back to encounters, and I'm just going to go Wera. I'm just going to search Wera. Okay. Bats, boars. What's the Right, so the tiger and the boar. They're the biggest ones. They're the werebear is the toughest, but we're not going there. So I want to do the were-boar because we're that's equal footing on the were-tiger. So let's go werewolf. And how many werewolves are going to show up? Two. So two would be deadly for the players. Oh, yeah, obviously three is going to be even more deadlier. More deadlier. So let's have two for the players and one for the were-tiger. So we got a pack of three werewolves that kind of move into the area, kind of approach. Pack of three werewolves. And they're coming in like, there's the final, there's that last were-tiger I thought escaped. Let's get rid of it, and we know there are no more were-tigers in these jungles. We'll take over, and then we'll start, preying on this town because we're evil werewolves. So when these come up, so the players things may change because our were tiger is going to be about down half the hit points. Maybe a player is down, needing to be get healed to get back up. So that this is going to be a pretty involved situation. So it could really go any different way. It really just depends on where the battle stage is when our were tiger hits 60 hit points. Now, werewolves, I think, did they get the pack advantage? I believe they do. Let's take a look. Pack tactics, I mean. No, they don't. Interesting. I assume they would. I mean, wolves do, right? Am I missing it? Nope. Nope, I'm not missing it. Well then, that's fine. Then still, it's going to be a tough fight. There's three of them. They each got 58 hit points. All three of them can do multi attacks. And yeah, they probably are going to want to bite people. They're not as discriminating on how they spread their curse. The were tiger's more of a like I'm measuring candidates to see who's worthy of it, whereas the werewolves are like let's just give it to as many people as we can. Okay, so there we go. They're going to gloat about finding the last were tiger in the region and how they're about to kill it. So what are our players going to do at that point, right? Right, because they've already beat down the were tiger to half its hit points. Now the were tiger is stuck. It's got player characters on one side. It's got hostile werewolves on the other side. What are the players going to do about that? And really, how this whole adventure ends will kind of hang on that decision. You also got to factor in who up here is still alive during the fight. Have the players been able to take out any of the Were Tiger's allies? Have the Were Tiger taken out any of the players and their allies? And so that's really good. That's why I love this game because there's just so much that so many different things that can happen that you have to kind of react to. So our encounter here could end with the players and this Were Tiger being allies. If the players decide, I think the werewolves are a more vile threat. Yeah, what the Were Tiger is doing isn't great, but it's not as bad as what the werewolves are planning. So let's take out the werewolves and maybe figure out something to do about the Were Tiger. The Were Tiger might even think that the players and the werewolves are gang together, so it may may have to decide how it wants to continue the fight. All right, so we got, let's look at players victorious, players defeated. Well, obviously, we have thanks and gratitude, throwing around. Possibly a Wear a Tiger ally earned at the end of this. I'm not thinking the Wear a Tiger is like has a lot of treasure to bestow, right? Oh, thank you. Here's payment in treasure. But it could offer services. It can do stuff. Furs, meats, game, that sort of thing. It doesn't have like a treasure chest, loaded down with gold pieces, and magical items sprinkled about. But if you wanted to put that in there, you could put in some treasure that he's willing to hand over to the players. That's going to that I always say treasure is up to the individual DM and their players to because you don't want to like go crazy and like have the players be able to, oh, I'm gonna buy a ship now, or I'm gonna buy a catapult and attack the castle. So players go crazy sometimes. Okay. Now, if they're defeated, obviously, yeah, they're defeated. They could be dead. They could be infected with a curse, taken prisoner. All sorts of bad things can happen. And that may lead into like another adventure. You could say could lead to a rescue adventure if you wanted to. All right, I think we have an adventure. If we look down here, we got down these three from Gruza, Grumpo, Kimchek. These are our Act 1 scenarios. We got things happening for Act 2, Act 3, all the way leading up to our final scenario. And we worked on tying this stuff in, taking some random elements, some random story elements, and trying to come up with creative ways of getting them tied together and getting and thinking of ways to get the players engaged without without so much as just saying, okay, you're at the bar, someone comes up to hire you, do you want to go do this thing, I'll pay you a bunch of gold. Players go to location A, kill monster A, take treasure A, and rinse and repeat. Trying to come out like with an interesting story around it. All right, now if I were wanting to, publish this, obviously I'd have to revise it and kind of, rewrite it and lay it out properly. But we're not going to bother with any of that. This right here, would suffice, as far as your guidance and the story, as you're directing the players through the story. And I don't want to say directing as in you're telling them what to do, but you're setting the scenario. You're putting the obstacles in front of them, and you're reacting to the decisions that they make, as it and pushing the story along with that. Now we got NPCs for the story. We got character sheets set up for the story. The only other thing you would want to really do is just maybe have a list of the monsters to get to easily. But with D&D Beyond, it makes it really easy to find what you need. Oh, I need this monster. Quick search. There it is. Here's my monster. Here's my stat block. So aside from that, the next thing I would want to start thinking about are some maps. Coming up with some maps for the region, maybe some local, some more zoomed in maps for specific locations that they're going to. And a lot of that depends on also how you're going to run the game. If you're going to do like a virtual tabletop, you'll want like some good battle maps for your players seeing remotely. If you're doing traditional on a physical tabletop with dice and character sheets, the maps will still be good for for immersion and reference and such. And we'll talk about maps next time. I'm never going to claim to be a map expert, but I use a pretty good tool. I've gotten some practice in it, and I think they're all right. But I don't focus a lot because on maps because if you overload the maps with points of interest, then you're gonna be detracting from the plot, the story. Players, ooh, what's this? Let me go here. Ooh, what's this? Let me go there. So I try to keep the points of interest focused on what's in the story and maybe one or two non-story related points of interest that they could go explore. And we'll discuss that more next time. All right, excellent friends. So yeah, we got a good adventure here. We're going to do maps next time. Hope everyone has a great afternoon, great day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.